Umpire Mag feed, and I can't wait to go across the pond to listen to Across the Pod, fresh out of Wales. Special stuff. Cheers.
Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, I was joined by Ben Isaacs as we rank our top 10 games to look forward to in 2026.
So I'm confident, Andy, that you are a sensible man.
Ben looks at a very exciting Thanksgiving schedule.
This looks like the best Thanksgiving slate that I can ever remember.
And I think one game has the potential to be a Super Bowl preview.
I just think, again, this could be a preview, especially in the stadium it's going to be played at, Super Bowl 61. If you get a Super Bowl preview,
hope you all enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, and in today's episode, it's once again one of our top 10s, and today is our top 10 games to look forward to in the upcoming 2026 schedule. At time of recording, it's been pretty much exactly a week since the schedule was released for the entire NFL, and today, with my guest, who I'm going to bring on in just a few seconds, we're going to try and rank our best games from the upcoming schedule from 10 to 1. And before this podcast continues, it is sponsored by Fantasy Game Day app. Use code Andy5 at checkout on your first paid lineup for money back. Now, with me today, I have got a returning guest. He is a regular on the Nat Coombs Show. He is a writer, he has a book, he is a podcaster, and he is a regular on this show. Back today is Ben Isaacs. Ben, good to have you back on.
Well, thanks for having me, Andy. We did this one last year, and I set myself some very strict rules when I did it. And this year I decided to throw most of those rules out of the window because I kept finding games I wanted to put in my list that my rules were preventing me from doing so. And I thought, if the rules are stopping me from picking games I want to pick, I'm going to chuck those rules out. So one of my rules last year was I would not pick more than one game from a single game week. That rule's out the window. I had another rule last year of no divisional games because I thought, look, we know the divisional games should be good. What about the others? And there were just too many divisional games that I was too excited about. So that went out the window. The only rule that I did stick to was I have set myself the challenge. I will not pick a team more than once so that I can get a little bit of a spread. But that was tough because there are so many. There's a team that is one of the teams I am most looking forward to watching that I might not end up in my top picks here. So I'm confident, Andy, that you are a sensible man, that you will have this team in at least one of yours, so we will not be ignoring them. I won't mention the team, but when we get to them, I'll let you know.
Well, I can't wait to have for my choice of Dolphins Raiders week 1.
Do you remember that last year, the first one I said was week 1, Raiders Patriots, and you looked like you were going to throw up. And the game wasn't good, to be fair, but my thought was, I'm interested in this Raiders team. I think they can be not a playoff team, but they can cause people problems. As it is, they just cause their own fans problems. But I wanted to watch Ashton Genty, and I thought the Patriots would have a good season. So I thought these are two teams that are going forward. Wasn't a great game, and the Raiders were awful all season. So, I mean, Dolphins Raiders, that actually is a worse shout than my Raiders Patriots last year. Although, I don't know, what if one of them goes to the Super Bowl now?
I mean, I think there's more chance of me going to the moon than either. Certainly the Dolphins. I think the Raiders, you never know. The Raiders, there's always that chance they could put Mendoza in, he could ball out. But the Dolphins, I think there's literally only one team I would back less to reach it than the Dolphins, and that's the Cardinals. Literally, if we win 5 games, we'll be lucky. Our schedule is horrific. Literally, the only wins I can see is winning. Getting even are the Jets games. Literally, we've got one of the hardest strengths of schedules, and we're
it's awful. Those first 5 games, Bengals, Chiefs, Niners, it's just horrific. And I'm not looking forward to. I'm looking forward to maybe what draft position we get out of it if we get a top pick. But I don't think I'll be expecting more than 4 wins for the Dolphins this year. And the fact they got no primetime games might show that the NFL agrees.
Yeah, I don't think the Dolphins are going to be especially watchable. I'm intrigued to see how their season goes, but not in a I want to watch this team on a regular basis. I absolutely do not want to watch the Dolphins much this season, and I don't think we'll see much of them on red zone other than touchdowns being scored against them. But if you're a Dolphins fan and you're thinking, well, the draft, if we're awful and we've got a high draft pick, the next year's draft should be a very good one for teams who need a quarterback. And that's if the Dolphins don't draft a quarterback this summer. They could draft a quarterback this summer. And if you're listening to this thinking, what the hell are you talking about? It's because there may be, for the first time in years, a supplemental draft. And a supplemental draft is something that happens after the actual NFL draft, and it's for players who were unable to be in that draft. And basically, there is a quarterback who may end up in the supplemental draft. And the way it works is you kind of like, I won't make this all about the supplemental draft because there'll be plenty to talk about if it does happen. But basically, you sort of say what pick you would give up. So if you were like, oh, I would give up a 7th round pick to take this player, then you're probably not going to get that player. If you said a 1st round pick, then you're almost definitely going to get that player. But it means you have that pick taken away from you in the next college draft. So that'll be something to think about. Maybe in a month's time or something, and maybe the Dolphins will have a quarterback. And if they do, Andy, then maybe I am watching them a lot.
I will say, having watched his brief cameo as Packers quarterback, Malik Willis excited me at times last year, and I think I'm aware that it was a more stable organization, better coaching at the Green Bay, and better players around him. But yeah, I watch him, especially in that Bears game. You all know that game too well. He was brilliant. Now
I like Malik Willis. I do like Malik Willis. I think it's a bad fit for him, because I think it's going to be difficult for anyone to succeed. And this is the thing, is that I think we've seen what Malik Willis can do, and I think it's quite a bit, but I think it's going to be difficult for him there. But because of the fact I'm such a college football fan, if they had a rookie quarterback, I'd be like, okay, well, I want to see, because I want to see what this guy is like. But yeah, I don't want it to sound like I'm down on Malik Willis. I'm more down on the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think that might be the kind of the end of the season main narrative is A-Chain was the main guy, but Willis showed sparks. And I think if the fans in the organization are kind of fully expecting not a great season and the ownership, then I think it's fine. I think what might come in the future. There's talk of the wide receiver. Is it Cam Smith, his name? Jeremiah Smith. I can't think of the
Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State.
Yeah,
that's possibly the best player in that draft.
And I think if the Cardinals got Carson Beck, will they go quarterback? I don't know, but I think if we get 2nd overall pick or even 1st and don't go quarterback, I think he's meant to be electric, and it would certainly make sense with getting rid of Waddle, getting rid of Hill, and having no receivers there, and being happy with that this year. Maybe they know deep down that's what they're going to go down. And also, John Sullivan's talked about a lot, having rookie players, cheaper deals, and going younger kind of talent. Yeah. And so I think that's what we'll do. I think we'll have 2nd overall pick or 1st overall pick. We'll go get Cam Smith, and then the following year maybe get a quarterback. Then if Willis doesn't struggle, but I think the deal he's on is quite risk-free in a sense. I think if he doesn't work out in 2 years, the way the contracts works out, I think that's where they'll go quarterback then. But yeah, it's tough. But anyway, I think that's enough Dolphins talk for this episode, because
they're one of the most unwatchable teams.
Well, before we go on to the top 10, let's take a trip down memory lane for On This Day.
On this day
on June 1st. In 1994, the NFL launched NFL Sunday Ticket, and in 2004, the Rams released Kurt Warner. And the likes of Santana Moss, Bradley Pinion, and Larry Centers were all born. Well, there we are. So we now have our, we're now going to go through our top 10. And as always, the guest does go first. So Ben, what is your first nominee for top 10 games to look forward to in 2026?
My first one is the opening of a new stadium. And I always like the opening of a new stadium. But when the Bills open that stadium at Highmark Stadium, which looks like a copy-paste of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's weird seeing it there in Buffalo. It looks so much like the Spurs Stadium. Bills against Lions in week 2. These are a pair of genuine Super Bowl contenders who really have got to get rid of the chokers label, because like they've both had shots of being in the Super Bowl and flopped. The Lions gave up a big lead, and the Bills constantly have trouble with the Chiefs. These are two teams that have got to get it together. I'm glad they're meeting early in the season. I think it's going to be an incredible atmosphere there at Highmark Stadium. I'm interested to see how the Bills are able to replicate that fantastic atmosphere they always have at home in this plusher stadium. Certain teams would have put a dome over it. I know the seats are covered, which obviously in Europe we're used to, but in the US it is different, having those seats covered like that. I'm really excited to watch both of these teams, but also I do love a new stadium. I think if this was just a normal game in Buffalo, in week 2, I'd still probably have it on my list, but it's the first one I want to mention because it's a new stadium.
See, I personally think there's a lot of teams that are trying to go for the same kind of stadium. I'm not that excited about it. I thought Highmark was great, albeit it wasn't the best. But I think the atmosphere you have then, I think they'll recreate it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it looks that special. I think that there's ones that are coming up, like the Titans one especially. I think I'm really excited.
It's fantastic,
for.
Yeah.
And of course, Nashville has now been announced as a Super Bowl hosting city, which for anyone who like me has been to Nashville will know just how special that place is. And you think about kind of what Super Bowl's all about, carnival atmosphere, party for the whole week. There's not many places in America better for that than Nashville. That street you get, which is the main street of Nashville, where all the most iconic bars are, which by the way as well have live music everywhere, consistent for the whole time. It's like a 10-minute walk on the bridge to Nissan Stadium, which I think will be where the new stadium will be as well. So literally, you think about not just the week itself, but the game. Fans haven't got far to go from the stadium to the main party element. So yeah,
I bet that stadium's going to be in Super Bowl rotation now. I mean, what a great city to have it in. Stadium looks fantastic. You're right; it looks a lot more exciting than the Buffalo Bills Stadium. Nashville, I think, is going to be a great host city.
I agree. And the one thing is kind of a selfish reason why I'm not that happy about the Bills moving stadium is because as of week 1, I can say I've now not been to every NFL stadium. I've had for 3 years, I've had this record of being to every NFL stadium, but now I've got an excuse to go back, basically, to try it. I don't know whether nowadays, now I'm back when I was doing these stadiums, I wasn't paying rent. I was living with my parents. So it was a lot more easier to have the money to save up to do these things. But now, yeah, it might be harder, but I can certainly hopefully tick off Nashville in 2030, provided I can get lucky with a ticket. But no, I think, taking that away, taking this the stadium and stuff, I just don't think it looks that nice. I think I'm surprised as well that the seating, I don't know whether they'll change this near the time, but I'm surprised the seats aren't just all like a different shade of blue, because right now the shade of blue they've got feels very like almost like the ones they had with Fitzpatrick in the early 2010s, late noughties. There's like a horrible Bills jersey they had, home jerseys for years. It was like dark blue. It feels like that color of blue more than the main blue you see with the Bills nowadays. So, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan, but I think it's one of those ones where until you see it in action on TV, I don't think you'll really ever know how good it is. But yeah, this game's amazing. And I don't think this will be the first time the Bills are mentioned in this top 10. And, you mentioned before there's a week where you're going to have more than one game. I think we're on the same page with a certain week. I think there's been, I think we might be onto the same wavelength when it comes to one of these weeks. And that might be where I go now, to be honest. I might as well get out of the way first. But before we do that, I think both teams certainly, this will be an important game already in week 2. I think the Lions, are still regretting that loss to the Niners you mentioned then. And I think the Bills will feel like they had their best chance potentially last season, certainly the 13 seconds in 2021. But I think the Bills, every year it feels like their time. Every year I think we all say the same thing. Are they going to finally do it? Is this that year? With Josh Allen fully healthy, I think they'll be definitely a contender. The new head coach thing, I think, unlike the Ravens, I think this could be an issue that could hinder them going into the season. But at the same time, he knows the offense. He knows how to work with them. So, Bills, Lions, 2. I think the Lions will come back. I think having the 4th place finish will help their schedule. I think they'll be eager to, make up for it. Vikings aren't. I think they can have, they're going to be okay. I think Murray might have a good season, but I don't think they're going to be a contender. Packers are a bit sort of in that middle ground, a bit like the Steelers under Tomlin. And then, Bears, there's a lot of stats about them when they're not, when Caleb Williams is pressured compared to not being pressured. And I do worry about them a little bit being potentially a one-season wonder, like with, the Bears under Matt Nagy that 1 year. So the chances there for the Lions. I think this week 2 matchup is going to be excellent. And I think it's going to be one where it's going to already at this point have massive implications for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mentioned at the end the Bills. I will go on to the Bills, and I'm going for Thanksgiving. The 3rd of the 3 games on the Thanksgiving day. It's Bills Chiefs, week 12. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, the whole slate itself. Again, we might mention Thanksgiving later on, but the whole slate itself is just absolutely fantastic. You've got Thanksgiving Eve. You've got the 3 games. And then you got Black Friday the day afterwards. But the slate you've got is incredible. And I think this Bills Chiefs game just tops a lot. I think we've said it before on episodes. This is the modern day Manning Brady. It really is. And the Bills are at home, and the Bills do have the Chiefs number in the regular season. So I don't think if the Bills win this game, especially at home, people should be thinking, it's going to be one where they're going to now go and beat the Chiefs in the playoffs if they play, because we've seen that not be the case. But I think just how these games have gone down in both regular and postseason, in this Bills new stadium, Bills Mafia, Chiefs have got quite an easy schedule, so that they're going to probably be at this point 9-2, maybe 8-3. They're going to be, both these teams are going to be, unless something horrific happens injury wise or they just have this bad luck, maybe with a new head coach in the Bills' case. This is going to be a game where, come week 12, they're going to be have 7-8 wins, or maybe more. And I think this game could have a massive say on who gets the number 1 seed. If the Chiefs are back and that schedule is favourable to them, as we think it might be, this could be a game that has massive implications for who has the 1 seed, or who plays at home if they meet in the playoffs. So this game on Thanksgiving as well, the whole world watching. It's the primetime game, the one where everyone's going to be in America. Maybe not the UK, because it will be on at 1 a.m., but certainly in America, everyone's going to be sitting there, all the family around, and this is going to be, I think, one hell of a game. And what a way to have Thanksgiving. You had, Chiefs Cowboys last year, I think it was, and now you've got this. Incredible.
This looks like the best Thanksgiving slate that I can ever remember. With those 3 games, just absolutely fantastic. Bears, Lions, Eagles, Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills. These are all teams have realistic playoff aspirations. And hopefully for us as viewers, they've all got something on the line at that point.
Yeah, I do. The cynic in me thinks there'll be one of these games that will get to that point of week 12 where the team's like won 5 games. Don't know who that be. I don't know who I'd pick out of them, but I think
it can't. I don't think you can have 3 games that are that good in one day. I do think that there'll be some game that will be a bit of a letdown before the game. I think will be one team will be injury hit or they're struggling. I do worry that it's going to be one of these games, but it might not be. It might be an amazing day, and I certainly, love the Thanksgiving game because you come in from work and you can watch NFL when you get home from work. I love Thanksgiving week for that alone.
Getting back on a weekday afternoon and there being a game about to start, and that if you've got the stamina, there's 2 more games after that one is absolute bliss. So for my next one, it's a little bit similar because I'm going Christmas Day, and the Christmas Day games look amazing. And I'm perhaps a little bit controversial with the one I'm picking here, but I'm picking it for selfish reasons, but maybe not the selfish reason you think. And that's Packers at Bears, which is 6 p.m. on Christmas Day. And the reason I picked it is that it's 6 p.m., not that it's the Bears. Because I in a way, I don't know how I feel about this game. I'm sure that most listeners know that I am a Bears fan. And I have watched the Bears on Christmas Day previously. This is the 3rd time they played on Christmas Day. This is the 1st time they played at home on Christmas Day. And it does have for anyone who's a fan of a team playing on Christmas Day, it definitely has the chance to just ruin your Christmas Day. And when it's at 6 p.m., that's definitely getting in the way of family time. Like, you might be at your parents', or it could be worse. You're at your partner's parents, and really all you want to do is you want to put Game Pass or Sky Sports on, and like maybe your partner's mum is like, oh, let's get the board games out, and you're thinking, hell no, Bears Packers is going to start in like 10 minutes. What are we doing here? And you just can't say it. You've just got to just go with it. The Bears and Packers played 3 classic games last season. I think the NFC North is wide open. I think you're right. I mean, you were indicating you feel that the Lions should be the favorites. I think they should be the favorites for this division as well. But I think the Bears and Packers are definitely in contention. If this game is anything like the 3 games that they played last season, this will be unmissable. And it's the first of 3 games on Christmas Day that look absolutely brilliant. I can't believe the games we've got Thanksgiving and Christmas, all things considered. So I'm picking this at 6 p.m. and it's a great opportunity to just, with your family, watch the greatest rivalry in the NFL, but also it is a great opportunity to have your Christmas ruined.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about Christmas. It's like, get it as football as well on Boxing Day. It's like, how do you negotiate it? Because I'm lucky that, I have family that like football, but with my auntie and gran around, my auntie just can't stand football. She likes rugby and she likes other sports, but she just can't do football. So there's always that thing of, oh, she's still here. Okay, right. I know she hates football, but I want to watch Liverpool against Burnley. I want to watch Chelsea against Everton. I want to watch this game. And Christmas Day is even harder. Now, at 6 p.m., thankfully, it's a bit easier in terms of the later the evening goes, the more easier it is to negotiate. And I'm thankful now that iPads exist because we're not a board game family. We're more of a quiz family. So every year we sort of have a quiz. Someone will take it in turns to host it and we'll have teams. So I have that luxury of being able to have the iPad on whilst the quiz is on. So I can have it on in the corner of my eye, watching it. And, and also thankfully Game Pass is here. So I can watch games 2 hours behind and if that happens. But I think board game wise, that's something you can't really turn your eye away from. You're playing Monopoly, you can't really sit there and wait 2 minutes to take your turn because you want to watch a 3rd down and 10. It's board games. I'm glad in a way we don't do board games now as much because that would be, I think, much harder to watch NFL games. But yeah, I mean, that Christmas Day is amazing. Looking at the rest of the fixtures, so we've got Texans, Eagles. That one could be the worst of the 3 if Stroud continues his playoff. Oh no, that's the
That was like, is that Christmas Eve actually? That one. We got Packers Bears 6 p.m., Bills Broncos 9:30 p.m. in the UK, and then I will mention next one because that is actually my next pick. But
Okay,
or at least
like
second to next pick. But yeah,
before you do that, I wanted to ask you something about Christmas Day, right? So, and it seems weird because we're recording this at the start of a heat wave, so we are very much not in the Christmas spirit. But just thinking about this, let's say you live in America, right? And let's say your family are big NFL fans, right? And let's say you have season tickets to your team and you go to all the games and you tailgate and it is a big thing. How do you feel about the idea of, so if it's, say, your Bears fans, 1 p.m. on Christmas Day, you're at a game. Like, how do you feel about that on Christmas Day? Because culturally, in the UK, although we have a lot of sport around the festive period, like, you know, like growing up for me, and obviously Andy, we're both born in Cardiff. A big thing when I was a kid, I wasn't necessarily going to these games. I knew that in rugby, Cardiff played Newport at home on Boxing Day. It was just one of those things, you know. It's a tradition. So we have sport all around Christmas, but not on Christmas Day. Like, you can't imagine going to a football match or a rugby match or, you know, and pick another winter sport in the middle of the day on Christmas Day. You know, it just wouldn't be done. So, like, would you enjoy that, or would you think, oh, I'd rather this was Boxing Day? I would rather just have the day at home doing Christmas stuff and then go to a game the next day.
I think it depends on if your family goes with you. I think if you go with your family, you're all tailgating, you all go into the game together, and you all love the team, whoever you support. I think then it's fine, and I think that point is like, it's a family day out. Yeah, it's a bit different to, you know, your normal day, but I think if you've got the whole family with you, I don't think it really matters what you do, whether it's your home or whether you're at a game. I think the issue goes if you've got a season ticket and no one else in your family watches it. That's where the issue lies, because 1 p.m. as well is like prime cooking time for a lot of families. It's not like it's like for us, we got it lucky in the UK, 6 p.m. Everything's been eaten at that point for most families. Everyone's sort of tired anyway. It's a lot easier to get on, but I think that's for me where I think the issue would lie, is if you have a family aren't into it and they want to spend the whole day at Christmas, or if they're like, that for me is an issue. But I think if you got the family with you and they all want to go to the game, you're tailgating before the game, you can sort of, I think that's where it's good. But I can't imagine that. But then, you know, you mentioned Cardiff against Newport. That was our tradition for years with the family. You know, 1 year you go Cardiff, next year it's in Newport. You're for about 5 years, we went to this game every Boxing Day or day after Boxing Day sometimes. That was our tradition, and that is an amazing thing to do. And a lot of people who go to football games will say the same thing. I went to a Liverpool game last season on the 27th or 28th of December. Amazing. Everyone's in Christmas spirit. Great. And I think
I love festive football. Festive football's great.
Like that, but again, that's
Christmas Day.
Yeah. Like, I've had the experience of trying to go on the Sky Sports app during the Christmas Day, looking at all the fixtures. That is a bleak viewing. If you look at Sky Sports football app, today's fixtures on Christmas Day, it's literally like 4 games from random countries. It's weird. But yeah, I find Christmas Day is not something I'm used to personally. That feels alien to me. But then, again, if it's a tradition in the family and they go to games every year, then I think that's absolutely fine. I do worry for Chiefs fans, because I think the Chiefs are starting to make Christmas Day their thing,
like their Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So I worry for the Chiefs fans. They're going to have to do some real negotiating if you're a Chiefs fan from Kansas City and your wife or husband hates the NFL. I think that would be a real issue.
I think there was a famous AFC playoff game. I want to say early 70s.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
It was Christmas Day, but it was Christmas Day, a playoff game, Christmas Day. I could be wrong on this, but I'm convinced there was well before our time, a Christmas Day playoff game. That's crazy.
That is sounds quite good actually, but that'll be even more of a raise in the stakes thing. Like, not
not you could be trying to negotiate with the family a week 16 game where it's a team that's 12-5 against a team who's 4-8.
Oh yeah.
Try to do that with a big playoff game. Trying to navigate around the family, that would be extremely tough. Extremely tough. Yeah, I feel like I've seen some Football Live documentaries or America's games where the Super Bowl's like early Jan or late December. Like,
I
think that's where
yeah, NFL Championship games used to be kind of at the end of December, around New Year's Eve, and then the Super Bowl was then kind of January, and just we've got it pushed back as kind of more games have been added. And that, I mean, you're right. If you're gonna have to kind of like force your family to watch a game on Christmas Day, and one of those teams is like only got 4 wins or something, it's a tough ask. And it used to be that NFL Christmas games were a novelty, and now clearly they are not. We're gonna get multiple every year, just like Thanksgiving. Whether it's a good thing or not, I don't know. It might not feel so special. And you're right, for the Chiefs, if it becomes their thing that, okay, we host on Christmas Day, that I think is a tougher thing than Thanksgiving. And the Lions and Cowboys obviously have been hosting on Thanksgiving for decades and decades and decades. It's so long-standing a tradition. It's very much a part of their identity. So it'll be interesting to follow it. But what I love is the way that the NFL are like, okay, we are putting absolute box office on Christmas Day, just like Thanksgiving. And I guess long may it continue.
Yeah, those poor Chiefs players playing Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Brittany Mahomes, Taylor Swift. That's tough for them. That is tough for them. Yeah, I wanted to. My next pick was Bears Packers, so but I will go for what I just mentioned a second ago. Rams Seahawks, Christmas Day. This was a game that had such a big implication for the rest of the season. You think about that play in the game in Seattle, where they deemed it. They thought originally the play stopped, but they carried on playing, and then they gave it and that did seem to change the trajectory of the season. And I think had a big play in why the Seahawks were the home team for that title game in the NFC Championship rather than the Rams. And this is the game that was the second to last game played. For the Seahawks, they win the NFC Championship, but they don't play till week 16. They don't play until week 16, Christmas Day, and then they play twice in 3 weeks. And I don't think the Seahawks personally will be in a Super Bowl again. My pick, I've said it for weeks now, I think the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. But Seahawks, for me, they have lost a lot of players, but I think they'll still be a team that will be in contention. It's in Seattle where the incident happened last year. I'm assuming will be the main media coverage for the game. They'll talk about that play last year. And this could again have massive implications for the division, potentially for the playoffs, potentially for the NFC Championship. They have that on Christmas Day as well. For us in the UK, it's Boxing Day. It's 1:15 a.m. in the UK. But what a game. What a game. And
I mean, if you can't have a lie-in on Boxing Day, when can you have a lie-in, right?
Oh, I mean, it's a thing where my family are going to be all still there. So like my auntie and gran will stay. So I have that thing where if I can wake up at like 7 a.m, me watching the whole game on Game Pass ad free, the entire game on the zone. If I can watch that, if I wake up at like 8 a.m. naturally, I don't have an alarm. But if I wake up at 8 a.m. naturally, like I normally do on weekends, and then I can watch the whole game for 2 hours, and then I'm still not, get down at 10:30. That's not too antisocial. So I think that for me is my plans for that. But this is a hell of a game. You've got the MVP against, well, not the Super Bowl MVP because he went to the Chiefs, but you got two teams that were right in amongst it last year. I'm sure they'll be in amongst it again, and this could be once again a crucial game for the playoffs and the playoff seeding.
The Rams were the team that I thought there's a chance that they don't end up on my list, despite the fact that I think they're probably the best team in the NFL. So it was because there were other games that caught my eye, but I was confident, Andy, that you would not do anything so stupid as to compile a list that didn't necessarily have the Rams on. And I think for most people, that is a more watchable game than the Bears-Packers game, because I think it's almost certain that the Seahawks and Rams will be very much in playoff contention at that point. Possibility of the Bears or Packers not being a playoff team, I think, is higher. So for a neutral, I think that is the best one. The only reason I didn't pick it is the kickoff time. It should be absolutely brilliant. And I mean, I'd agree with you. I think the Rams are the best team.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think Sean McVay is going to be. I feel like ever since that game ended in the NFC Championship, I feel like he's not stopped thinking about that game. So I think he'll be eager to win that game. I think they've made it a bit harder for himself, not drafting someone in the first round to help them win now rather than in 10 years' time. But I think they're going to be a contender for sure. And there's going to be a lot riding on this game. And of course, as Brits as well, in terms of getting the family around at Christmas time, British coach in Aidan Durd as well. Yeah, definitely a lot of interest for the UK. So yeah, that is the second. Now we've now got 4 of our 10. So number 5 is going to be with Ben. So Ben, what is your next selection?
I'm going back to the Seahawks. Well, you've just introduced the Seahawks, and I'm picking the Week 1 game, Patriots at Seahawks. I'm actually surprised that they did this, because it was obviously literally the last game that we saw, and it wasn't a particularly good game. I thought it was going to be Seahawks Bears. There was only a handful of teams it could have been. I thought they were going to go Seahawks Bears. So why am I picking this then? And it's basically because I'm desperate to see what these two teams can be this year. How much Seattle will miss Kenneth Walker. Like you say, the Super Bowl MVP is not there. Will Sam Darnold take a step back? It's entirely possible, because we've seen more of bad Sam Darnold than we've seen good Sam Darnold, but it looks like he's in his happy place. What will the Patriots do against a tougher schedule? Everyone, all through last season was saying that they're only doing this well because of the fact that the way the games have fallen for them. Will people say the Mike Vrabel off the field story is a distraction? I'm not saying this game will be a blowout like the Super Bowl was, but if it is, then the narrative around the Patriots is going to be very uncomplimentary. I think we're going to learn a lot about the Patriots in this game. If the Patriots play it close or even win this game, I think that will shut a lot of people up, but they could then just fall off a cliff. But yeah, I am really up for this, even though I didn't think it's the game that the NFL was going to give us in Week 1.
I'm proud of this one. I actually predicted this would be the Week 1 game. I did a video on socials where I went through my 5 predictions for the NFL schedule, and one of them was Patriots Seahawks Week 1. I just had this feeling about me that they were going to do it. I don't even know why. It just felt like I don't know. It just felt, looking at the teams they're playing, I can't remember what the reason was, but I remember just thinking this could be the one. But yeah, I mean, the Mike Vrabel stuff's going to dominate the pregame stuff. And fun fact, it's actually the 3rd ever time where we'll have a Super Bowl rematch as the Week 1 the following season.
Yeah,
it was
really rare.
Panthers Broncos in the 2016 season after the obviously Super Bowl 50 in, ironically, San Fran, the same as as Patriots against Seahawks. And then the other one was all the way back in 1970 when the Vikings took on the Chiefs after the Chiefs beat them in Super Bowl 4. So not very often it happens. And yeah, it's going to be, yes, I personally, I didn't have this in my top 10 just because I don't think the Patriots will be, I think the Patriots will suffer a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I just don't believe, I am one of those ones that felt their schedule took them there. I think their schedule was very kind to them. And I think that, yeah, they beat the Bills away from home, and that was really commendable. But I think so many of their games were so easy. And also, how many teams can say they had to play a backup quarterback in an AFC Championship?
Yeah.
Maybe the Vikings when they lost to Nick Foles, but apart from that, I don't think many teams have had backup quarterbacks for such a big game. And I think they played, 2 quarterbacks who struggled in postseason in big moments, and Herbert and Stroud before. Stroud had an absolute nightmare. I think the Seahawks win this at an ease, and I don't believe the Patriots will be anywhere near the heights. They might still win 7-8 games, might even contend for the playoffs, may even make the playoffs, but I just don't believe they're a team that's going to be contending for Super Bowl. Now they might get AJ Brown, that might change things completely. I think they will get AJ Brown. It might well have happened by the time this podcast is out. He might have already gone to the Patriots, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of unrest behind the scenes. Mike Vrabel might not be there. Mike Vrabel might not be the head coach by week 1. The way it's going, the increased media speculation, the increased stuff that's coming out, there could be a point where the Patriots let him go, which I think will be stupid because I think he's a brilliant head coach. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what Patriots we get in week 1. Will Vrabel be there? Who knows? And also, this game is intriguing to me because it's the first time in history there'll be a week 1 game on a Wednesday. Because a game that again,
Andy, it feels wrong to me.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's reason for that, and I might get onto that game later on. That game is certainly one that I want to talk about. But yeah, it feels weird. I'm not against it. It's an extra day of football, extra day of NFL, but yeah, it does feel awfully strange that it is week 1.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of games on a Wednesday. Obviously, there's special circumstances this year, and I don't know if the NFL will want to make a habit of it, but they do seem to want to get themselves in as many different windows as possible. So maybe this is a sign of things to come.
Speaking of which, my next nominee is that game in Melbourne. Rams against 49ers at Melbourne. The Melbourne Cricket Ground, I think it's called. I mean, what a game that is. I mean, again, talk about two teams that I think will be right up amongst it come the end of the season. This is a division that had 3 teams in the playoffs last year, was by far the strongest in the NFL in 2025. You've got 2 teams that, you know, are division rivals. You think about the stars on display: Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Kieran Williams, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Fred Warner, Jared Verse, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan. It's an amazing matchup, and I think this might be the best ever on paper international matchup, and the history behind it'll be the first ever game at Melbourne. Incredible. And I've actually in the last week I bought tickets to go to Melbourne for that game. A friend of mine, my best friend, lives in Sydney, so I'm kind of using it as a chance to see Sydney for a week and a half, and then go down to Melbourne. So I'm very excited for that. I've got a bit of a journey getting back from that game. I'll explain that in another episode. That's a long story in itself. But in terms of the game, to be hopefully in attendance for that, whether it's hopefully in the press box, if not as a fan, I'm very excited for it because it's 2 teams that I think, once again, if the Niners stay healthy, we know how good they are. The Niners made it all the way to the divisional round with one of the most injured teams in the entire NFL. So if they're healthy, they brought in Mike Evans as well. I think this will be a team that will be a contender for the NFC. I really do think that. And to have 2 teams, I think, again, like Rams Seahawks in week 16, I think this game is going to be box office. I don't know whether the neutral venue, the traveling, might make it a bit of a boring game. It might affect the quality of the game. I think if you had this game week 1 in LA or in San Fran, it might be a different story. But it might not. It might just be a complete shootout. I'm very excited for this. I think NFL fans should be as well. What a game. What a matchup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be brilliant. This is one of the best rivalries in the NFL, not just historically, but, right now it is such a strong rivalry because these are 2 teams with real Super Bowl aspirations. The fact that the Rams, like most teams, would not want to have a divisional game move to another country, a game that they are going to host. It's like, oh, that takes away our advantage. But obviously, as we know, the 49ers fans pack out SoFi Stadium whenever they're on the road against the Rams. So this is a pretty smart move from the Rams to be like, okay, well, we're going to play this in Melbourne, because that way it's not going to feel like a 49ers home game in our own backyard. It is going to feel more like a neutral site game. I'm really interested to see how the MCG looks on TV with an NFL configuration, because obviously it's a cricket ground, it's round, it's absolutely massive. Some of the seats are presumably going to be very far away from the field, but I get why they're having it there. I really want to see it in action, and I'll be really curious, Andy, that after you've been there in person to experience it, kind of what it was like in real life, kind of what those sight lines were like, kind of how it feels when you're there, because obviously it is not set up for that sort of sport. But historic stadium, historic rivalry, and what a great way to things that are happening in week 1. Just brilliant.
Absolutely. And the best thing about it, as someone who's going to the game, to be watching it in person at 10:35 a.m. as a morning person, I'm all in on that. I am all in on a game. I would genuinely love to have all London games on at 10:30 in the morning. I would genuinely love that. Now
now
I
you've said it. Now you've said it. I love that idea.
Great. Done by 2 or 3. You haven't got to take work off the next day. You can get home fairly easily. Yeah, I mean, I don't drink, so obviously I'm not going out nights before. People might think differently if they want to make a weekend of it, if they want to go to a bar and be out till 2 a.m. They might think differently. But either way, I think there's a reason why my favourite game kickoff time in football is 12:30. I love 12:30s. I can't do 8 p.m. I really struggle to stay awake after a certain time. But yeah, the thought of watching a game that early, I've been to games in America that are 1 p.m. Obviously, London games that are 2 p.m. I love that. For me, that's ideal because it's not too late, it's not too early. But 10:35 a.m. That's for me that's awesome, and that's going to be exciting as well. Obviously, for us in the UK and America, it's the status quo's there. The usual time. 7:35 in the US, 1 in the morning in the UK. But yeah, for locals, I think this would be great. And I've always wondered because they get to watch Super Bowls at 10 in the morning on a Monday. That sounds amazing.
That I don't like. I want to have like a certain amount of a momentum during the day ahead of a Super Bowl. And what I don't want, Andy, I don't want to watch it on a Monday morning. That is not going to work for me. Because it's a Monday morning for them. Now, if it's a Sunday morning, maybe, but not a Monday morning. So, and for the local fans, I mean, you're going there as a visitor, but for the local fans, again, it's a working day. It's a school day, and it's they're in the morning. So it's a little bit weird, but obviously we know that logistically it was tricky for them to do. They couldn't just put it on the Saturday or the Sunday. They were going to have to get it earlier. But we'll see if anything gets tweaked for future years in Australia. I imagine it's going to be a great success, and I imagine Australia will be in the annual rotation going forward.
Do you think, you mentioned working day, do you think we'll see a school trip at the game?
I mean, can you imagine? Because when I saw like if it was going to be on a working day. And I thought, if I was a kid in school and I loved the NFL, the idea of I'm in lessons. There's an NFL game in my country or in my city. And even if I can't get tickets, I can't even watch it on TV. Are you kidding me? I would be absolutely raging. I feel it should be a national school holiday in Australia.
Absolutely. Or even there's a lot of people who are my age who said the same thing, that when the World Cup was on in 2002, England played Brazil. My schools, many others said the same thing, that everyone just got to watch England Brazil in their assembly hall on a TV. I've seen loads of YouTubers have mentioned it, and I know loads of people I know have said the same thing. And I think that could be where they go as well. Maybe in the assembly hall, at least a half, because it's obviously a 3-4 hour event. So I don't think they would quite veto or quite approve the 4 hours off school to watch it. But certainly, you think about their lunch break at school. You think about for an hour as well in lessons, especially if it's PE as well. I think school should definitely do that. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, I'd be well up for that. I've had things when I was in school where there was a sporting event on and the teacher's like, we're putting this on now. I remember a Rugby World Cup match and they were just like, right, this is going on. Things like that. I'm all for it for the school. But whether Australian schools will do that for a foreign sport like that, I don't know. But if they've got a heart, they will.
It depends how much of Red Zone the head teacher watches, I think. It depends how much NFL that head teacher watches.
Well, I tell you what, shout out to my primary school, Stacey Road Primary School in Cardiff, where we had a change of head teacher, and I had no issue with the head teacher, but the new head teacher came in, and he was a massive NFL fan, and he had an American football clock in his office, and we all thought this is great. and he would come around the classrooms and he would want to talk NFL. And I think if there was a game that was happening in the UK and it was during the school day, he'd just be like, "We're closing the school. The council, just come at me. We're closing the school."
Joe, you mentioned, I've just looked at that. You mentioned your primary school. I was trying to look out whereabouts was. It's a 40-minute drive from where I am right now. That shows kind of me and Ben's kind of similarities as to where we're from and all that. Literally, I could get to your primary school right now in 14 minutes, and from my work, 13 minutes. I might well pass it because I looked at the bus route, and it's the bus I get to work. So I probably have passed your school on the way to my work every day, potentially, or at least been near it.
And listeners should know that Andy and I didn't know each other when I still lived in Cardiff, and we only ever see each other at NFL games in London. I live in London now and have done for a long time, but our paths never crossed there. It's just one of those coincidences. We used to play. Our head teacher did arrange for us to play American football, like in games lessons. Like that's we were perhaps the most American football friendly primary school in the city. So shout out to him, Mr. Haynes. I don't know where he is now. Hopefully he's still alive. He was brilliant. And even though we had a teacher who'd played rugby for both Cardiff and Newport, he played at a high level for a long time. And he wasn't a huge fan of the NFL. We managed to kind of get him more interested in it. It got big in our school. And that was partly thanks to our head teacher.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to quickly shout out two people I met very recently, talking about Cardiff. I went to do some filming at a South Wales Warriors youth practice session yesterday at time of recording. So I want to shout out Rob and Jeff, who I met and had a good chat with there. And they told me they subscribed to the podcast. I saw Jeff do it whilst I was there. So Rob and Jeff, if you are listening, very nice to meet you. And I'm sure I'll see you guys again next time. Ben, for your penultimate selection, which game are you picking?
Another divisional game, Bengals at Ravens in week 7. Ooh. And I picked this one because these are two teams that I think are going to be under so much pressure in 2026. If the Bengals don't make a run at the Super Bowl, they're going to be looking for a new head coach. If the Ravens don't make a run at the Super Bowl, everyone will question if they should have kept their head coach. These look to be the two best teams in the NFC North. But if that wasn't enough, you've got Trey Hendrickson. Like, there's so much going on in this game. Lamar and Burrow, always watchable. But I think one of these teams is going to have a really pivotal offseason because we can't have both of them in the Super Bowl. And that's how they're both going into this game. I love this rivalry. It wasn't as good last season because of the fact that just the poor Bengals with their injuries and everything going wrong for them. They were not the Bengals that we'd been used to seeing in previous years. They've got to get it together. And so have the Ravens. We can't have a situation where we're just looking at Lamar Jackson being like, will he ever get to a Super Bowl? And Joe Burrow, can he ever win one? He got to one early in his career. Very watchable teams and absolutely terrifying offensive production from either of these teams, the weapons that they've got. But I feel something's got to give. And we can't have both of these teams have a good season. So Trey Hendrickson going up against his old team, the Bengals, will he be the key piece? Week 7, I'm glad, because so many of these big divisional games are late in the season. I'm glad we've got something like that in week 7, relatively early. Just bring it on.
Yeah, I think the Hendrickson factor and kind of the way he's been since he left the Bengals, there's been some shots fired at the Bengals organization. And I think as well with the fact that, the whole thing, well, they could have got Max Crosby. They didn't get Max Crosby. They go and get him. Yeah, that's a really interesting one. And I think if it's anything like the games we got in 2024, I remember watching one in a bar in London after one of the London games. That was an incredible game. I think there was missed kicks from both McPherson and a certain ex-Ravens kicker. And I remember there was such an amazing throw from Lamar Jackson and kind of threw across his body, kind of broke a sack as well. that those games, when these teams are good, they're good. And I think if you can get anything like those games we've had previously, it'll be some game. And I think the Ravens getting a defensive-minded coach like Minter, I think might be the difference of them actually being able to hold on to leads. And the Bengals, they've added to their defense. I think they'll be improved if they can keep Boa healthy, which is a big if. They'll be a team that will be contenders, because it is 2 seasons where he's been fully healthy. Super Bowl appearance, next season AFC Championship. So I think if you can keep Boa healthy, and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, the defense behind the boy Maffei coming in, Jonathan Allen, they brought in Shamar Stewart last year. They lost Hendrickson, but I kind of feel like Shamar Stewart was brought in to be his replacement long term. So that's kind of a like for like in a way. But these teams should be both better. I think both teams will be improved on last season. And yeah, that should be a hell of a game. Looking forward to that one. Now, my next one, I'm very wary. I'm going to go for teams similar again. I feel like there's 3 teams I've put a lot of. There's 2 teams especially I've put a lot of games focused on here. So I'm trying to think, do I go for the one or the other? I don't want to pick it. I think I'm going to pick this team again. I'm going to go for, it's one of 2 teams. I think, one of 2 games. I think I'm going to pick, oh my goodness. They're both in the same stadium, actually. They're both the same teams at home. It's just whether I pick this team or this team from the AFC. I will go for, the Bills Rams in week 5, because Brilliant. Again, it's the Bills and Rams again. I realize I've said the Bills and Rams in at least one of them in my 3 picks so far, but I just feel like, again, this is the games you want to see. And week 5 might be a bit early, but I think that might set the tone for the rest of the year. And I think, again, it's down to, Josh Allen, some of his best football is early on in the year. That could be wrong, I don't know. But it just feels like he plays some of his best games when the pressure's off. I don't want to kind of do him disservice, but yeah, either way, Bills, Rams, I think, again, it's once again 2 teams I think will be up there contending. I've said that before, Rams I think will win the Super Bowl. I think the Bills have the players and have the talent to make a Super Bowl as well. So this could be a Super Bowl preview. I don't think it will be. I don't think the Bills win the AFC, but it could easily be a Super Bowl preview. And at least 2 teams that are going to be right in amongst it come the end of the year. That's really all I can say. I've mentioned the Rams and the Bills already in the episode. And I just think, again, this could be a preview, especially in the stadium it's going to be played at, Super Bowl 61. If you get a Super Bowl preview, potentially in week 5, got to be in there. It's got to be in there. And also you got the 2 most recent MVP winners as well. So, and yeah, you got Kieran Williams, you've got James Cook, you've got, who else have you got? You've got, buddy, DJ Moore's come in. You've got, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, if he's there at that point, if he's back on the field. Offensive talent is second to none, and I think this game could be quite special.
Yeah, 100%, and a very realistic possibility of that being a dress rehearsal for the Super Bowl. These are definitely teams that's what they're shooting for. Not let's make the playoff, it's let's win the Super Bowl. And you might think, well, surely, every team should be thinking that. They're not. They're not all thinking that. I guarantee they are not all thinking that, because for a lot of them, they know what their target is. And if you get to the playoffs, then anything can happen. But for the Rams and the Bills, anything short of winning the Super Bowl, the season has been a failure. Yeah, a really good one. A really good one. And with some of these NFC versus AFC games, they're key in terms of us learning things about those teams and how they match up against another power. But of course, in the standings, they are the least important ones. So it's one that you can afford to lose if it comes to it, and then potentially, get revenge in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. I think as well, it's kind of a game where you mentioned it then about you can afford to lose it. I think players might take more risks, and and that could make for a better viewing. Right then, time for your final nominee for our top 10 games to look forward to. What are you picking?
I have to pick a London game. Just have to, because I'm always excited for those. And I think it's a really good lineup of games. I think each one has got a lot to recommend it. But I'm going for the Wembley game, Texans at Jags, because it's a division rivalry and it's one that started to get more momentum. The Texans really flopped hard in the playoffs. Like, that performance from CJ Stroud was terrible. I really want to see what CJ Stroud has got in his locker this season, because I don't think that's the real CJ Stroud. I think he is someone who got a bit overrated after his rookie season, but he was not as bad as what we saw that week in the playoffs. These are teams expecting a deep playoff run. It's huge in terms of the AFC South. I think that Texans defense is incredibly watchable. I really like the way that the Jags have built their team. They are, when a lot of teams are zigging, they're zagging, they're doing things a little bit differently. Liam Cohen's got a vision for the Jags and how he wants them to be. Travis Hunter, I was looking forward to seeing him last season. He had one of his best games on offense in London last year. We're going to see, I think, more of him on the field in general. I think they want to use him a lot on offense, a lot on defense. Whether he can do that, I don't know. If he can, then he's one of the most talented players in the NFL. I'm very glad that the Jags are getting good, because we know we're going to have them multiple times each year at the moment. There's talk that they'll play 3 games across the UK and Ireland next season. But just looking at 2026, the Jags look good, the Texans look good, and I'll be very pleased to see these two teams in the flesh.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best on paper international slates we've had. Certainly, talk about London games. Last year got a bit of stick in terms of the kind of teams we're getting, and but I think this year you've got 3 amazing games. You've got Eagles, Jags, Texans, Jags. You've got Commanders, Colts, and elsewhere I mentioned the Australia game. You've got Ravens, Cowboys in Brazil. You've got Steelers, Saints in Paris. You've got Falcons, Bengals, another great game in Madrid. And you've got Lions, Patriots in Munich. And of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown obviously speaks German heritage. Ex-Patriots player Sebastian Vollmer. That has a lot of Patriots fans for that reason, as well as them being good with Tom Brady. But fun fact about London games, actually, this year we are seeing two of just 3 international series games in history to be replayed in the same city. So the ones we had before, we had the Jags. The Jags playing the Eagles, and they played in 2019. 2018. 2018, the Jags played the Eagles at Wembley. They're now playing at Tottenham in 2026. We had, I can't find what the first one was now, but the game, I will find out in a minute. The game we had, which is the only one to be replayed in the same stadium, is Texans-Jags at Wembley, like we did in 2019, where Deshaun Watson and the Texans completely destroyed Gardner Minshew. I think it was 27-3. The only ever NFL game my dad has ever been to. Me and him went from Bristol to London on the same day. And yeah, wasn't the best game. I think we'll get a way better game this time between these two. I think I'm looking forward to more Eagles-Jags than maybe Texans-Jags. But I think maybe there's more on the line, I think, with Jags-Texans. I think Eagles-Jags, they're not going to meet apart from a Super Bowl, and I don't think either team will make the Super Bowl. Maybe the Eagles. They got quite a favourable schedule, but I do believe, this Texans-Jags game could have massive implications for who wins that division. I don't think it's going to be one where it's going to make a difference of who makes a Super Bowl or who has the number 1 seed, but certainly who wins that division, because these two teams were neck and neck last year, and I think it's going to be, once again, box office. I think Wembley has really taken on the Jags as their own. I think when they're the home team at Wembley, it feels different to when they're home at Tottenham. It feels a lot more like you're at a Jags game in Florida.
Yes,
it feels like a home game. And for me, I think that Wembley is home of the Jags. I think Tottenham still does the Jags. I think they do it well still, but it feels so much more Jags heavy when you go to Wembley. It feels so much more Jag central.
Yeah, I totally agree. The way that they set up Wembley, it does feel like it does feel much more like a Jags game, whereas the games at Tottenham, when the Jags play there or anyone else, it feels like an NFL game, but not in the way that the Jags have managed to make Wembley a home stadium for themselves. And obviously with the situation with the Jags stadium, where it's being redeveloped and they're not going to be playing in Jacksonville for a bit, it does mean that there are more international games available to them to play. And Europe is going to be the one that is going to be the continent, I think, that benefits the most from that.
I've just looked up as well. The only other game to have a repeat matchup in the same country was when, sorry, not the same country, but the same matchup. We had Chiefs Chargers in Mexico in 2019 and in Brazil in 2025.
Oh, of course,
so,
yes.
Yeah. Right. We'll go on to my final nominee, and I'm going to once again mention the Rams here. I've got the Rams against Chiefs, Week 13, Thursday night football, so 1:15 a.m. on Friday night for Friday morning for those in the UK. And I think this one again, we might mention it maybe last year when they were playing last year, but this one, we all know what happened when the Rams played the Chiefs before in LA. I don't think we're not getting 54-51, but we could, you never know. But like I was saying before, I just think the Chiefs, the way their schedule is, I think they could be going into that game, like against the Bills in Week 12 in Thanksgiving. I think they'll be a team with 8-9 wins potentially, and they'll be a team that'll be one of the contenders for the AFC if they get Mahomes back. That is a big if. If Mahomes isn't quite fit, I think he will be in Week 1. I think he'll play in that Week 1 game against Broncos. One I did think about, an honourable mention, is Broncos Chiefs Week 1. But I think if Mahomes is healthy, like Andy Reid was saying on Good Morning Football last week, I think they'll be back to, whether they win AFC, I don't know, but I think they'll be a team once again competing. I don't think that 6-win season last year is going to be the same this year. I think they'll be right back in it. And at that point, like with Bills Chiefs in Week 12, I think, again, we'll know about these teams a lot more at this point. I think we'll know these teams will be contenders. And I just think, once again, primetime game on I say a short week, but actually not, because the Chiefs do play on Thursday the week before. But either way, primetime game, Thursday night, two teams with great players. This could be one hell of a game, but I don't think it'll quite live up to the... I don't think it'll ever live up to that 54-51 ever again. But either way, two good teams, should be quite electric.
Yeah, and I know that lots of people are just sick of the Chiefs and sick of Mahomes and sick of the attention that Travis Kelce gets and all that sort of stuff. But the league did miss a little something with the Chiefs not being the Chiefs that we've either grown to love or hate over the last few seasons. They do make things more interesting. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game. So hopefully he is back to his best, because I want it to be that if other teams are winning the Super Bowl or getting to the Super Bowl, getting through the AFC playoffs, I want it to be through Patrick Mahomes, so that we don't have people saying, oh yeah, but it's because Mahomes was injured, otherwise it would have been the Chiefs, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if we'll see the Chiefs quite as good as they were a few years ago, but it has not surprised me you've picked so many Rams games, and I feel justified now in being a bit weird and leaving them out, because I thought, okay, I know Andy will pick up the slack.
I've just realised 4 of my 5 games are the Rams. Oh my goodness. I think if you weren't already sure that I thought they were going to be good this year, I think that's going to be another an indication that, yeah, I think the Rams. And also, I just realised now, Trent McDuffie plays for the Rams now, went to the Chiefs. And obviously the Chiefs used the pick they got from the Rams to get Mansour Delane. So I think those two as well, playing the same position, that should be interesting. But no, I have favoured the Rams a lot in this episode. But we will...
With good reason. Good reason.
Yeah. I think I want to be a bit more, try and spread out the teams a bit more. But, you know, I've got the Chiefs twice, Rams 4 times, Bills twice, And then you've got two NFC West teams. There's no AFC East. There's no AFC North team I've picked. There's no AFC South. There's no NFC North. I've left a lot of divisions out, but thankfully you came in and brought in the other divisions and the other teams.
Yeah. Between us, we'll get everything covered. That's fine.
Yeah. Right, we're going to have to now go from 10 to 1. And as we always do, we're each going to pick one game we're happy to have in the bottom 5 and one game we want to have in the top 5, no matter what. I'm happy to have Chiefs Rams in the bottom 5. I think that out of my 5 is probably the least exciting. But I've got to have Bills Chiefs in the top 5. I think for me, that is where I stand on that one. What about you, Ben? Which game are you happy to have in the top 5 and happy to have in the bottom?
I'm going to put in the bottom 5, I'm going to sacrifice Patriots at Seahawks because, like you, I'm a little lukewarm on what the Patriots will be. And the one I'm going to say has got to stay in the top 5, I'm going to say Packers-Bears Christmas Day, just because 3 classics last season, and I think we're going to get something close to that.
Yeah, that is fair. So if you go for 10 and 9, Chiefs Rams, Seahawks Patriots, do we go for the Super Bowl repeat or do we go for this week 13 clash? I think personally I'd have Chiefs Rams above Seahawks.
I agree.
Yeah,
agree.
Okay. So we'll do that. So Seahawks, Pats week 1, and then Chiefs Rams week 13. So you've got Rams Seahawks week 16, Rams Niners, Bills against Rams, and Bills Lions week 2, Bengals Ravens week 7, and Wembley Texans Jags. I want to say that is week 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think I mean I'm well up for Texans Jags, but I think it's in the bottom half of this 10.
That's fair. I'd say personally I don't think that's the best London game on paper personally, but then it's got probably more riding on it than other games.
Yeah, there's more at stake in that one.
Yeah, so then I'm gonna go purely because I think a neutral venue might make it a bit of a potentially less exciting game. I think I'm happy to have Rams Niners maybe in the bottom 5, just because I think that the traveling in neutral venue might have an impact on these players.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll put that. So maybe you put Texans Jags 7 and maybe Rams Niners week 1 6 maybe.
What's 8? What's number 8?
Oh, sorry. Yes,
okay, so 8 and 7. 8 and 7 for those.
8
yes.
7,
yeah, agree. Okay, yeah. Agree on that.
That is fine. So that means we've got Bills Lions week 2, Bengals Ravens week 7, Rams Seahawks week 16, Christmas Day, and also Bills Rams week 5. Maybe we do Bills Rams week 5 and 6, just because at that point there's less riding on it, and say if that was in week 15 or 16.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good call.
Okay, so that means that we got that 6. Now we got the bottom 5 are now done. We've now got to try and decipher who is the top 5. To the left, we've got Rams Seahawks, Rams in week 16. We've got Bills Lions week 2, Bengals Ravens week 7, and we've got Packers Bears Christmas Day week 16 and Bills Chiefs week 12. I think those last 2 are probably my top 2. I would say we could probably have those 2 as a top 2 and have the other 3 maybe as the 3 to 5.
Yeah, I'm happy with that though. Yeah, I mean, because I was thinking, you've got to look at the 2 Christmas Day games and figure out which is the best game there on paper. And I don't think it's Bears Packers is the best game on paper of those 2.
Maybe you go Seahawks Rams then, but I just think I love NFC North games. I love Soldier Field, so Packers Bears I'm big on that. And I will say as well, we have done an episode. Our last one is ranking all-time NFL rivalries from top 10 to 1. So do check it out and find out where Bears Packers is in that list. Yeah, because the game probably is better with Seahawks Rams, but I just love Packers against Bears games. I love whether it's Lambeau, whether it's Soldier Field. I love. And you
It
probably,
is. It is special. It is special. But I think when we get to that point, there's probably going to be. I think the Rams Seahawks games will be more watchable. I think.
Okay, so we can have them maybe that in the top three. And we can try to decipher 3-1. And then Bengals Ravens week 7 and Bills Lions week 2. I think Bengals Ravens excites me more than Bills Lions. I don't know why.
Yeah, I would agree.
So do we go Bills Lions week 2 and 5th and Bengals Ravens week 7 week 4?
Yes.
Okay, there's that. So we've got basically 4 to 10 locked in. This means now we've got to choose between, in no particular order, Bills Chiefs week 12, Packers Bears Christmas Day week 16, and on the same day, Rams against Seahawks. Both of those, of course, on Christmas Day. Now, that's tough.
And it does make it harder when you've got two games on the same day. In terms of like trying to separate them, because obviously the one that I picked, my first, was the second one I mentioned. I'm already kind of saying it should probably be below Rams Seahawks. I feel like it should probably be number 1 Rams Seahawks, number 2 Bills Chiefs, and number 3 Bears Packers.
Oh, see,
I mean, I'm glad you disagree because I hated saying it. Okay, tell me how you would put them.
Well, I think Bills Chiefs is. I said it before. It's a modern day Manning against Brady. I just think these games are always good. I know Rams Seahawks could say the same thing in recent times, and it is a division game on Christmas Day. I just think Bills Chiefs.
It's actually you're saying it, and I'm picturing Allen and Mahomes, and I'm picturing Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and I think the Seahawks, personally, they've lost a lot of players. I do think they won't quite live up to those heights, and I think they're a classic one and done team. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I just feel like, do I see them winning a Super Bowl again in the next 2 or 3 years? Maybe, but I just think Bills Chiefs every year they're competing for AFC's number 1 seeds. For me personally, you could argue the 2 best quarterbacks in the league are in this game. Joe Brady might be a bad head coach and it might make it a bit less watchable in that sense. We don't know how that's going to work out. Whereas we know Mike McDonald, we know Sean McVay, we know that's tough. I'm happy having Packers Bears third. I'm happy conceding that because it probably is a better game, Rams Seahawks, than Packers Bears. I think you're right. So either way, it's Christmas. No, it's not Christmas. Either Thanksgiving or Christmas, we've got a game to try and pick from. Oh, that is tough. We can't.
I think you're right. I think you're right in that Chiefs Bills should go above Rams Seahawks. That I'm with you on. I do agree. And then that probably should be number 1 then. That should be number 1.
This is probably not a valid reason why we should pick number 1, but you think about what we talked about. It'd be way easier to watch a game as Brits on Thanksgiving when you could watch it the next morning as well, or stay up all night. I think it's way easier to watch that as a UK fans than not 6 p.m. Whenever it is around Christmas time. People who have to go see families like 4 hours down the road.
Yeah.
This purely for UK point of view, I think it'll be a lot easier to get to watch this game than Rams Seahawks. But depends how much your family's into NFL, I suppose. But it is tough because the Chiefs, we don't know how they're going to be. But you say the same thing about the Seahawks. And for any of these teams, I think the only team you can guarantee, I think, will be in amongst the playoff or City winning conference championships is the Rams. They haven't lost anyone. They haven't changed that much. Yeah, they could have picked someone else pick number 13, but their team's still pretty good. They can afford to do that kind of pick. But the Bills have got a new head coach. The Chiefs had a poor season. Mahomes on an injury. Kelsey getting older. Rashee Rice in jail for 30 days before the season starts. And the Seahawks
after surgery.
Surgery?
Isn't it the Rashee Rice had some surgery? Am I getting mixed up as well? That he's had some surgery and now he's got to go to jail so he can't rehab properly. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, that's
great timing.
His own doing, but that literally, and then the Seahawks. I mentioned probably lost players. Sam Darnold, has had a good couple of years, but I still.
So are we going Bears Packers number 2? Is that what's happening? If you talk
I still think Rams Seahawks. I don't know whether I think the Packers will be anything more than a 10-win team, and like kind of wild card divisional round loss. But yeah, I think as your Bears fan, I love the NFC North. Soft spot for the Bears. I'd always clamour for Packers Bears, but I do feel like Rams Seahawks might be the better, have more of a crucial impact on the rest of the season. And I think Bills Chiefs for me would be just my pick, but that's so tough. That picking between 2 and 1 is way harder than picking between the rest of this list. I think that is hard, but I think we have our list. I think we have our list from 10 to 1. So from 10 to 1, it's Seahawks Patriots week 1, Chiefs against Rams week 13, Texans Jags at Wembley week 6. Number 7, we got Rams Niners in Melbourne week 1. Number 6, we got Bills against Rams in week 5. And then we've got number 5, we got Bills against Lions in week 2. Number 4 is Bengals at Ravens week 7. Number 3 is Packers at Bears week 16, Christmas Day. Number 2, on the same day, we have Rams Seahawks. And number 1, week 12, Thanksgiving, we have Bills versus the Chiefs in their brand new stadium. And there we are. And as always, we will put a social graphic out, and always let us know in the comments of those posts what you think of our top 10. But in the meantime, Ben, huge thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thanks so much. Always love doing these with you, Andy, and we always try to find a good excuse and a good reason to get me on. You know where I am, and even though I'm a little bit under the weather today, I would like to think that has not come across. Hopefully my brain is as sharp as ever. My voice might just be slightly more gravelly than normal, but going through all these games in the run up to this recording just got me so hyped for the season, and it feels like it's so far away right now, but it'll be with us before we know it. You know how it is. The off season ends up just flying by. They'll be in training camp soon, and we'll be getting ready for it all.
Absolutely, and I think the schedule release videos always get me excited. I love watching every single team working out who's got the best videos, the worst videos, and then thinking about just the games themselves. And what a game, what a season we're going to have. And I think that it's going to be, once again, a very exciting season. Of course, we're going to bring back the season preview episodes with one for each team, with a fan of each team. Make sure in July and August, stay tuned for that. And other than that, Ben, I wouldn't have, if you hadn't told me you were under the weather, I wouldn't have noticed, if I'm honest. So it probably hasn't come across to the listeners unless they, have got a clean set of ears. But I didn't notice it. So you're probably all good. But there we are. That is the end of the episode. And that is our top 10 games to look forward to in the upcoming NFL schedule. And Ben, look forward to seeing you in London in the autumn.
Absolutely. I'll see you there.
Absolutely. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.